to Downtown Dance. I'm John Piper. I'm excited to see you guys. Hopefully you've already watched our first sequence of videos and put down your playground on the ground. If you have a cooler thing to call, put it in the comments somewhere. But to me, this is where we play. This is our space of enjoying dance. So again, we have our long rectangle for our followers, and we have a slightly shorter rectangle for our leaders. We went about how to measure that in a previous video and how to make sure you're moving within a good structure for the dance, which is where these things come into play. So this video is going to be about precision in our movement. Now, these are way too big for our most efficient, most precise West Coast swing fundamental movements. So I'm going to go ahead and start here as a follower. And when I'm thinking of precision, there's probably like a middle third if I'm double tracking. Now, what double tracking means, and please, if you hear something that you want to learn more about, hit us in a comment, message our YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or my personal TikTok. Those are all places that I'm interested in hearing from you. But there's a middle third within this. So we have, our first third, our middle third, and our last third. And that can be swished around. The only thing that doesn't really change is this middle third. So this is where we're going to be moving around and keeping our precision. Now, within double tracking, this is where both feet kind of stay on different sides of the slot. There's a left side and a right side, and your movement stays very much under your hip. It's a little bit more funky, groovy, groovy. It's a little bit less classical, formal, in the way that the dance is conveyed. A lot of people who dance really through their hips, very grounded, tend to use double track. Whereas, I think probably the best example of single track would be Latin movement. So in terms of Latin ballroom, which is where, instead of moving up the slot with kind of an even kind of hip, we play with a lot more angles within that. So our heels are both loving this single track. I'm working on it, or at its most, which doesn't really show up in West Coast a lot. The balls of our feet are actually moving across that single line up and down the slot. So you can think of it as two lines in this middle third, or one line in this middle third. Whatever you choose to dance with is a matter of comfort, as a matter of what are you trying to achieve, and that's going to be a running theme within the dance. For me personally, is what are you trying to do in the dance, and what are the tools that best help support that? So, whichever you decide, whether it's more comfortable to keep your feet underneath your hips, or whether it's more comfortable to move your hips towards the center line to kind of have a little bit more of this angle, a little more depth to your movement, those are personal decisions that you get to make. Okay, so precision. Now, this is gigantic for trying to be precise. And I think probably my favorite way to practice precision is to cut out all the extra fat. What is the smallest amount of movement that I can create in my body to really make sure that I'm allowing myself to maintain my momentum and direction, but to also just not add extra things, right? And so this is going to be maybe a little flatter, a little more boring to some people, and that's okay, but it's also efficient. And that's one thing that I think we could use more of in our dance, is efficiency in our movement, because we used to dance, even before I started West Coast. West Coast used to be danced very fast. There was no fat on it. It was all clean technique and get after it. We've exchanged that for more individual freedom of movement, which is part of what's so attractive about it to me, but learn from where we've come from and use that. So in our efficiency, we're trying to do that. We're trying to make sure that there's not meandering happening, a lack of kind of keep your body kind of in the direction of where your feet are going, in the direction of where the momentum of our pretended imaginary beat would go. And do this through all your a really great one to practice too from the follower side is your free spin. This is one that I think we kind of just rush through and get through as we're learning it. And really, like, if you're thinking precision, here I am, I've prepped. Boom, 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 finish, and settle. So really making sure that I'm capable of controlling each part of these movements. And the slower, I thought I went too far, the slower and more deliberate you are in your attention to detail, the more it's going to pay off. It's like this weird relationship between what's going to allow me to not drive myself crazy by caring too much about details, versus how patient can I be in making sure I'm fine-tuning my movement so that I don't have to think about it. One of my favorite quotes from Brandy Guild is, "Technique is freedom." And that's something that sticks with me. She's a mentor of mine. You should go watch all her videos and learn from her. She's amazing. So that's our followers example of that movement. Leaders, we're in the same boat. The difference for us is that this middle third and kind of the space that we're using is like this tiny square within our bigger square. So we really don't have much that we have to do. Like if you notice, and this is something really valuable to practice as a leader, which is how much movement do I have to give in order for my follower to feel the appropriate amount of energy and momentum down the slide. And we're going to line it up with a full step. But when I say full step, I don't mean full step. I mean full step. So my feet are they're passing each other, but they're not looking for space between these two places. Just like in measuring our followers' movement, where I said find that place that you can have a straight leg without compromising your standing leg. Similarly, as we move backwards, and this is true whether you're a leader or a follower, we're looking to place the foot in a position that isn't like reaching, right? Because if you'll notice, as I push back, there's a place somewhere in here where there's not a lot of muscles supporting the sending and receiving of my energy. So I'm going to land more towards like where my toes meet the ball of my foot. And I should be able to have a pretty smooth transfer of weight as I move backwards. So that means I'm trying to make sure that when I take these steps, because I think this is efficient enough, I'm going to determine how I'm using my playground to decide. So I'm going to do a right side pass. And I'm going to do both back and back replace. So for back, I have 1, 1. Now I know that this is an effective one because the distance that my arm moved in a relationship where my hand moved from where it started, you can put that as how would your follower move in response to you. This step here went about that far, which for most follows is going to be more than enough distance having been covered. So keeping that in mind, here I am back, 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. Cool. Same thing, back replace. So with back replace, I'm going to step back. I'm going to replace my foot straight across, not to contradict my lead, and move towards my follower. 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. So when we're working on precision from the leader side of things, we really want to make sure that we're being really tight. Tight's a word that I really enjoy when it comes to thinking about my movement within context to my follower. Because one thing is that, being as large as I am, my movements are going to be probably too big for my follow. So if I can make those really efficient, I can feel comfortable for follows of all different sizes. And that's something I'm trying to be considerate about because, I don't know if you guys know the secret, but if your partners enjoy how they feel when they dance with you, you'll probably get lots of people to dance with. Okay, so here I go again. I'm gonna go through just a few basics, keeping everything tight to the slot. I already went through right side pass, backpack, back, and back replace. What I'm gonna do now is take that same energy, and I'm gonna move through my whip, 3 and 4, and then I have this rotation through, 5. It doesn't take much, 5, because I am combining rotation with movement down the slot. That's kind of a big lead from 4 into 5 to get your follower initiating the movement or following through on their movement down the slot. 5, cross 6, 7, and 8. And what I want you to do is, while maintaining the relationship that you're supposed to have with movement up and down the slot, which means a 1 that drives the direction you want your follower to go, redirections that also have movement and drive the direction you want them to go. How small can this be? So I'm going to go ahead and show my example of how small this can be on my own frame within my whip. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We have 5, 6, 7, and 8. The only place I'm going to really kind of allow some space is my side steps. So I'm not going to move very large. I just shifted orientation on you, so I'll go back. But I'm not going to move very large this way, up or down the slot, because that affects my follow. But as if I change orientation again, same thing. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I might step a little bit wider on my 4. Not very big on my 5, because my use of the distance side to side is about my comfort level. And I'm comfortable making that distinction because I know that I'm not going to really mess with my follower in their own body movement, unless of course I'm dragging them along way outside the parameters of our playground. So, precision, it's about efficiency, it's about understanding where each step is supposed to take you. I can do a detailed breakdown of every basic, but I feel like I would like people to ask for that. I think that for most people, trying to maintain their dancing, which is what these exercises are more geared towards, you probably have already been acquainted with the fundamentals of how this should move. If you're finding weirdness, things that don't feel good on you, man, like either watch yourself because your eyes are great. A lot of my training over time has been, what's wrong here? Like I didn't know what I was talking about at the time, but it was like I noticed something's wrong. What could that be? So watch yourself. Use a mirror. This is set up in your house. Like I've done most of my training with just like a small mirror that would be put on like a bathroom door or something. So I would set that up in my living room. I had my space that I worked, and I would just kind of check in with myself. How is this moving? How does it feel? Now the key to making all of this great, I probably should have started this video off like this. Put on music, like here's my rule. The more annoying and difficult a drill is for me, the more I play music that I love. So the level of love for music helps kind of give me some pleasure as I'm like working through the details of things that can be kind of tedious. But tediousness is like, it's where such greatness comes from. So I recommend putting on some music that you really enjoy, really love. I don't even think you have to dance this full time. If I wasn't worried about copyright strikes, I'd probably put on a song right now. But just take your time. This isn't about necessarily being super on rhythm. If that's something you're working on, then focus on dancing on rhythm. But really, just kind of take your time making sure that all of your movement feels good It looks good, it moves the directions it's supposed to. If you notice quirks, here are some quirks to watch out for, leaders and followers. Messy footprints. Anytime we're like kind of swiveling our feet as we move, I'll see people do things like this. I used to do this, it felt fun and good. It doesn't make for clear expressions of what's happening in the music, or clear expressions of how you're relating to your partner. That's one to be careful of. Just moving beyond your body. This is me moving beyond my body. And even if I held like good frame, good posture as I do this, this is beyond my body. I can tell because of the thudding of how I'm landing. So I'm going to move on top of my feet. My body's staying stacked where I'm going. And this means I move smaller, but I move with more power and deliberate motions and control. And that's what we want within the dance. Cool. Hopefully you guys enjoy this.